Hi, in today's video I'm going to be talking about CVs. Now, I am absolutely no expert in designing the perfect CV. I'm just going to give you certain tips, what I have personally included in my CV as a beauty therapist. It's worked well for me. I've also seen a lot of CVs as well. I kind of have an idea of what managers like and what they don't like. So I'm going to show you my screen on my laptop, and I'm going to go through the order and what I recommend. Again, I'm no expert at all. If you're clueless, then I'm sure that I would mention something that could possibly help you. So this is a very simple template, but with any CV, I recommend that you include this information somewhere at the top, whether it's on the side, whether it's in the middle, doesn't matter, but you need to include your name, your address, email address and telephone number. Then I recommend that you do a personal profile. This is where some people get a little bit lost and they're not sure how long to make it and what to sort of include. A personal profile or personal statement is nice to include at the top of a CV so that the person reading it just has a nice summary of who you are, how many years experience you have, what sort of treatments you do and what you're sort of confident in and what you're aiming for in the future. So these are the sort of questions that you might want to answer in this section. So who are you? So you can start by saying that, you know, are you a beauty therapist? Are you an expert in just facials? Are you a massage therapist? Do you do lashes? So this is where you need to tell the manager who you are, and then mention how many years experience you have. Again, they just want a nice summary. They don't want to go through your CV trying to count how many years experience you have. Make it easy for them and mention how many years you have in the industry. If you are fresh out of college, or if you've switched career paths and you don't have any experience in the beauty industry, then you can leave that bit out, but you can mention that as well in your personal profile so that they know who you are. It's also good to include what treatments you're trained in and maybe just keep it to what you're most confident in. So if you're a beauty therapist, there are many treatments that you're trained in. If you're a massage therapist, you can include what sort of massages you do. The next thing that you should include in this summary is what skills you have. So this is where you can really sell yourself. Be honest, but tell them what sort of skills you have, such as, do you like working in a team? Are you good at dealing with problems and solving issues? Just be honest with what makes you stand out. And then a nice way to end this paragraph is to have a sentence on what you are aiming for in the future. So for example, I personally wrote that I'm just looking to enhance the skills I already have, but you might say that you're looking to learn more skills or new skills, you're interested in training further. So just end that paragraph on what your personal goal is. Then I recommend that you go into your employment section. So this is where you put the name of the salon or wherever you have worked, put the name there, put what area it was, and then the dates that you were working there. If you're still working there, you can just write present here. Write down the role. For example, if you was a spa therapist or a receptionist, just write down whatever role you had right here. And then you can do bullet points of everything that you possibly learned, the sort of responsibilities you've had at this particular workplace. So for example, you can start off with the responsibilities you've had. You can do several different points here. For example, if you was responsible for covering reception and answering phone calls and booking appointments, put that in there. If you was responsible in keeping the area clean and tidy, so in a salon that is really important. Cleanliness, hygiene, these are things that, I mean, as a beauty therapist you're also pretty much a cleaner as well, so you can put duties in keeping the salon clean and tidy. If you did work at a salon, it's good to include what treatments you used to perform here, and it's also good to mention if you learn anything new, if you trained in any particular treatments. Now these two are mainly just related to if you are already in the beauty industry, but if you're not, just stick to the responsibilities, but somehow link the responsibilities to the beauty industry. And the way that you can do that is, if you look for a job, in the job description they do have the responsibilities that you're going to have. So if you feel like what you already did in this place, if you feel like it links to the same sort of responsibilities and skills, that's where you can include that in this section here. It's better if you go in order for the most recent place that you worked at, and to do that following through your CV as well, even with the education section, start with the most recent thing. I used to write my CV in the order of like where I started and go in time, but a friend of mine helped me with my CV. She said I should really reverse it and put the most recent one first. She works in HR and she was really helpful with her tips, so some of the tips I'm giving you are from her. Another tip that is really important is if you have worked in many different places, it's best to keep it short. I have come across certain managers where they have 3 pages of a CV, sometimes even longer, and they really cannot be asked to read through all of those pages. On average, a lot of them were around 2 pages. And if you have worked in many different places, it's best to just include the places that relate to the beauty industry the most, because that is what the manager is going to be interested in. Moving on to the education section, you need to put the name of the school / college wherever you studied here, include the dates that you started and finished here, and then the name of the course. For example, you could write Level 3 VRQ Beauty Therapy, Level 2, Level 4, whatever it was. Start with the most recent one. And another thing that I recommend you do, this is something that I think is really important for the beauty industry, is to write what topics you actually covered, like what treatments you trained in within this course, because I know that some level 3 courses, they don't include some of these things. Like instead of aromatherapy massage, it might be something else. Or in a level 4 course, for example, some level 4 courses just relate to laser, whereas others include chemical peels or microneedling. So that's why I recommend that you write a list of what treatments you trained in this particular course, so that the manager knows what you're trained in. Next is your key skills. I personally struggle with this section because I feel like when it comes to the beauty industry, obviously there are loads of skills that you need. You need teamwork skills, you need to know how to use a computer, you need to have good communication skills. You can include all of that in this section. I honestly, personally just included these 2 because I'm talking about, I don't even know how to describe it, but I think looking at where I've worked, I've noticed that not a lot of people know how to use a computer. I've come across quite a lot of beauty therapists who struggle with knowing, like understanding how the computer works and knowing how to book an appointment, knowing how to use certain software. So that's why I've written what softwares I know how to use. Here you can include like Spa Booker. Forest is, I believe, another system. These are like spa booking systems, and the fact that I know how to use these, it might make the manager feel a little bit more like, oh good, I don't have to train her in how to use these certain booking systems. So that's why I personally included what softwares I know and what I'm familiar with. If you're fluent in another language, this is definitely a skill, knowing another language, and it's best to include what language you're fluent in. So you can just write, so for example I'm fluent in Turkish, you can just write what language you're fluent in here. You can write any other languages that you're fluent in, especially if you're working in an area of London where this language is quite used a lot, or if you're going to work in central London, for example, you get quite a lot of tourists in that area, and it is very useful for you to know another language so that you can communicate with your customers comfortably. if you genuinely believe that you are really good at teamwork, include that in here. You can include communication, any other skills that you believe will be good for a beauty therapist. I personally kept mine really simple because, as I said, I wanted to keep my pages limited to 2, so I didn't want to include a lot in this section. It was mainly this section that I have a lot to write because I personally have worked in quite a lot of salons, so that's why I didn't put a lot in this section. So just balance it out, and then at the end just put that at the end. References available upon request. Definitely have these ready if you were to be called into an interview, or they might ask for this via email, and just have that ready if they do request it. This is just a very simple template. It doesn't need to be anything crazy, as long as it's fairly easy to read and just fairly organized, so that you know, okay, this is the name, this is their details, this is who they are, and just a summary. Great, I'm still interested. This is their employment, this is where they worked, this is when they worked and how long for, this is what they did, this is what they learned. Even this template could be improved, but I just wanted to give you a very simple template and just a few tips that could get you started. I really hope that this video was helpful. If you are a beauty therapist and you feel like I've missed something out, comment it down below. I'm hoping that I've included everything, but just in case, if you have any extra tips, comment them down below, because I'm not an expert in CVs. And yeah, that is it from me today. Bye.